here tonight with Margaret, and I'm looking forward to making this presentation to this group about coaching and a number of other things that Margaret and I have talked about over the past few weeks. So we've been practicing. We're ready to go.
Thank
Over to you,
you,
Margaret.
Thank you, Ken. Now, the next challenge, to share the screen. Let's just hope that this works. It worked great this afternoon. Does Ken, is our help is on the way on?
I do not see it yet, Margaret.
You do not see it. Oh, great.
Technical difficulties.
Oh, yes. Well, you know me and technology.
We do.
Sad. Okay. Okay, we will try. Still not coming?
There you go.
No, it took just, it was in freezing mode.
Did you say freezing mode? We're going to be bantering tonight, folks. So just we'll apologize in advance. We'll make sure we get through this presentation today.
Ken and I have known each other for a little while, just a little bit of history. In case you wonder, we will take and banter back and forth. And if anybody would like to take and say anything along the way, let us know. There will be a small period of time at the end for questions and answers. And if anybody wants the recording to this, they are welcome to have it. And please put your email in the chat and we'll make sure that you get it. So let's begin. Let's see.
Do you want to present, Margaret, and present mode instead of just the slide like this? Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Perfect. Got it.
I told you, in freeze mode. Understanding is the first step to acceptance. Only with acceptance can there be recovery. Where we meet resistance, we must use only the force that is necessary and no more.
So really what we wanted to talk about this evening are a couple of key factors. One of them obviously is the cycle of Toastmasters. I think it's very apparent to this group, experienced Toastmasters and newer to Toastmasters, that we do have what's called the cycle. We have good club meetings. We energize our membership where possible. Our membership brings guests. I think that's the most important critical thing for a lot of the experienced Toastmasters on the call tonight. That's that time of year we have our open houses. We just recently had our open house at my club. Guests are impressed. They join. You have new energy. And the cycle continues. And I think one of the big things that Margaret, as our club growth director, was mentioning to me just a little while ago was the fact that in a lot of ways, you also have clubs that you need to be aware of, that how can you help them grow? What do you look for in clubs that you want to assist and coach them? It's really, really important. You don't want clubs to fail. That's really critical. But there's also the concept of mentoring clubs as well as starting a club. So I think those are some of the key topics that, Margaret, you wanted to chat about this evening.
Yes.
So I'll go ahead.
Okay, on to the next part. This evening, we are going to cover 3 parts: coaching, sponsoring, and mentoring a club. And each one of those, as you see in a little bit, each one of them has a little different thing that they have to bring across.
So, as I said, do you need a club coach or do you want to be a club coach? I think those are really, really important criteria. We've obviously got some club coaches on the call this evening, and the whole concept of being a club coach, what's required of a club coach, I think we'll discuss that in a little more detail this evening. I know there's a bit of administration around it, but also to Margaret's conversations we've had just recently, identifying the clubs that require coaching and how that can assist those clubs. So what is it that goes into that set of steps?
Yes, and Ken, this year, we have a few clubs. We have right now 57 clubs that would qualify for a coach out of 83 clubs. We did have 60 some. So we are reducing them. This evening in the coaching agenda, we are going to cover why do clubs need a coach, coach versus mentor, club coach qualifications, club requirements, coach requirements and responsibilities and how to get a credit, club involvement, rebuilding as a team, recognition and planning for the future.
So as you can see by the model, and these are some really good diagrams that Margaret is able to bring forward. I think one of the things that's really, really important is planning, as well as evaluating the current skill set, understanding the club. I mean, you're really reviewing and renewing their goals as well. You also want to help them celebrate success. But really what it comes down to when it comes to the coaching life cycle is engaging with the club and acting as that outside observer around where the club is today and how you as a coach could help that club moving forward. So some of these critical components that we've got here, encouraging self-reflection is another good one for clubs, understanding your club, the type of club that you have, where your club comes from, and what are the goals of the club. And I think it really varies. And I think, Margaret, you and I have talked about this a little bit. I know there's a lot of experienced Toastmasters on the call this evening as well, Dawn and others, that have been through this in the past. So Margaret, you mentioned, the high percentage of clubs that could be considered in requirement for a club coach. So what is the impetus for that? What are the things that you would consider or help evaluate and try to understand as a coach so that you can help those clubs come back? And I think that's really critical for this group to understand, for the people on the call that are going to be coaching or the people who have coached in the past. And I think that's where it'll be fascinating, Margaret, when we have questions at the end of the presentation for some of the experienced Toastmasters that have been through that in the past.
Yes, Ken, and I hope some of the experienced Toastmasters, please feel free to answer some of the questions that's going to be, because Ken and I will be talked out by the time this presentation is done. Now, club roadmap. First of all, you have to fill in the interest form that aligns to a club. Then you complete your club coach agreement and do it with your CGD so that you know what's going on and you both are aware of what your interest might be and what the needs of the clubs in the district are. Complete the preliminary report of the club coach within the 30 days of you being officially signed. And I'll just put a little notification in here. On January the 16th at 7 p.m., Ken and I will be presenting on how does that form get filled out properly. Then at Ken Club Coach Training, like you were doing tonight, submit the Club Coach Progress Report, and that's done every 60 days to your CGD again. Submit the final coach report to the CGD, and also to get credit, you must have the president of the club that you are coaching take and write a letter to TI and say, yes, we had Ken as our coach. He did a great job. You may even highlight, you might take and say that how you were started out and how you approved that you became distinguished, whatever. But that has to be sent to TI in writing at the end of June so that the club coach can receive credit for it. You must serve at least 6 months. That's why the club coaches, you have heard me repeat and repeat again, saying December 12th, have your stuff into me so that I can take it, send it into TI. I have heard a few rumors that some people think that date's not true. Yes, the date is true. Anything that does not get approved by TI by December the 31st will not get credit at the end of June, even if their club becomes distinguished. We had this problem last year. So please get it into me. We will take and try to get, I have one person right now that hasn't got his form in yet. All the other 8 have got their forms in and it's been approved. So that is a very important date. And if your coach happens not to be successful by getting distinguished status, Then we can reassign them for another 2 years if they would like to continue on.
So I think you did a great job of explaining that, Margaret. For me, a personal observation around what you just explained is that there's an impetus for both the club and for the coach to be engaged. And I think that's really critical for folks that are here as club coaches and are going to be club coaches, as well as a date. Show of hands, how many people work where people are shutting down for Christmas already? Because they are. Let's be honest. That's why that December 12th date is pretty rigid. Margaret, you shared that this morning. So one of the things that also comes up is, why do clubs need a coach? I think when you stop and think about the whole nature of any type of organization, and especially say a Toastmasters club, you've got a formative stage. I mean, you've built it. It's entrepreneurial. You've established something. And then you get into the norm stage. Everything is wonderful. But then you hit a wall. And regardless of whatever it is, that wall is going to happen. And I think that's what you're seeing with a lot of clubs. It's time to renew, or it's time to go extinct. And I know that's a really harsh thing for people to hear, but that's where a coach comes in. That's where a coach can assist the club. But the club also needs to understand that help is available for them. So it really is a two-way street in a lot of ways. I think that's where the struggle becomes very apparent, is when a club is recognizing they need help. They need help, but who do they go to? So club growth director, obviously Margaret in this year, is the person that they need to reach out to. But then that stresses back to, how are you going to move forward? Are you going to reestablish yourself? Are you going to reawaken the club? How can you help put that club back on the right fit? And frankly, sometimes maybe it isn't possible. The club doesn't have that capability, or hasn't been given that capability. And that's what a coach is good for, is to be able to show you that, to show you different ideas, to come in with a different view, especially depending on the type of club it is, be it a corporate club, be it a specialty club, be it a club that's been around for a long time and is just struggling. And that's just reality. And I think that's the one thing, Margaret, this diagram was very telling for me personally when you put that up on it, when we were planning this out. This is an excellent, excellent diagram. It can happen to any club, but a club needs help. And I think that's where we as coaches and you as club growth director can help clubs come back.
Yes, it can happen to anybody, as you said, Ken. Now, I mentioned earlier that there's coach, mentoring, and sponsoring. A coach is meant to assist or to teach specific skills, transferable to assist in a club in a specific requirement, provide guidance and feedback. Where a sponsor, they assist in organization and planning. They help influence you with your peers so you can advance. A mentor, they share their knowledge with the club. They help you navigate, help you determine possibilities, and to take on a path and how you might achieve a goal that you're planning. So these all are very important steps. And tonight, we do have people that have taken on all of these roles.
So club coach qualifications, Margaret, I think this is my slide, but I think you'll slide into the next one.
Yes. Club coach qualifications. Ken, this is your slide.
Right. And now there you go.
There, yeah.
There we go. Sorry, I believe there was at one point you had some information on after that slide, but that's okay.
Yes, I did have some information for the club coach qualifications. Did you want to give that information, or should I take and give it?
I think you should, yeah, you should give that information, please.
Club coach qualifications. Prospective coaches. You are a paid member in good standing with the Toastmasters Club. You have not been a member of the eligible club in the past 6 months, and you cannot join while you are a coach. This is a new rule that came in a while back. It used to be that you could join when you were a coach. have been a member of TI for at least 1 year, have served as a club officer for 1 annual or 2 semi-annual terms, have completed a minimum of level 2 in a pathway or an advanced communication bronze or advanced leadership bronze, have completed the club coach program. And you've all heard me talk about that. It has to say completed, and that's just one of TI's rules. Now, club requirements. An eligible club have at least 3, but not more than 12 members. Have at least 1 club officer take and do the club coach program. Are not suspended or closed. Do not currently have 2 coaches approved, and the last year and this year, because we have had so few volunteers and so many clubs that need coaches, there is only 1 coach per club.
So club coaches' requirements, responsibilities, and credit. I think, Margaret, you've talked about this in terms of the requirements of the coach, the responsibilities. You've mentioned that already in the previous conversation here. You talked about the duration, important that dates are adhered to. So I think that's very important as well. And then obviously the credit, as you've alluded to that as well, Margaret.
Okay. Some of these points just are very important, so we have to remember them. Now, club involvement. When you want to take on a coach, it's like anything else. You have to be able to communicate. And as this picture shows, you have to decide how you're going to communicate. Are you willing to accept change? And do you really want to try new things or see what might work for you? Are you open to communication? Do you have the time and the accountability to take on this challenge and to understand and work on improving it willingly? In plain, do you really want to go forward and accept some of the changes and be open to what might occur?
Yeah. So as Margaret's alluded, you end up rebuilding as a team. I think that's really, really critical for everyone to understand as a coach. And as a coach versus being a mentor or a sponsor, you're there to advise, and it is bi-directional in terms of the communication and the feedback that's received between the club and the coach. The coach is brought in to help, but the coach's responsibility is to guide, but not to own. And I think that's one of the more important things to understand as a coach, is that you are a fresh set of eyes, that you're coming in with a process that's been defined by Toastmasters. You have taken the course, you've done the module, the club has also done the module, everyone is in alignment. We provide status reports and where we are with the effort. We do an assessment of the club. That's really, really important. And we rebuild as a team. It is a team effort to move forward. It's not the coach telling the club, thou shalt do this. It is the club members and the coach working together to come up with a plan and a strategy on how to rebuild the club. And I think that's a really critical thing to understand. And I think that's where we get into challenges with clubs. Do they want the help? And I think that's where the personal responsibility comes in. So that's where I personally feel is one of the key areas that we need to focus on as coaches, that we're there to help, to coach, and work as a team with the club members.
Yes, Ken, it is a matter of trust and respect and working together. Together, we can grow if we want to. Now, recognition. Formally recognize members to achieve their educational award. Mention the achievements in, for example, newsletters or on your webpage. Emphasize the importance of recognizing members. That little extra pat on the back, that can give somebody the push to want to try a little bit more. And also, at the same time, they realize that, hey, somebody did notice that I completed that task, or somebody noticed that I stepped forward and volunteered to do something. Encourage corporate clubs to use their company email or to put recognition in their company newsletters. Publicize the club's achievement on the BCP program.
So, planning for the future, leadership in Toastmasters. I seem to be getting and Margaret, I'm laughing here because I'm trying to recall when we went through this the last time. It's been a week or two. So I don't think you've changed a lot of slides. So I'm going to say, I'm wondering what comes after this, Margaret?
What comes after this? Well, it is going to be the next thing that we're going to be talking about is going to be sponsorship.
Here we go.
The important thing about this slide is that every club has a vision, and we take that into the future and we grow with it. It helps members develop in their club. It guides the club to achieve specific goals. And as this picture shows, we start at the bottom and we slowly work our way up. And it takes all of us, as Ken was mentioning a while ago, a team. It's a team effort. And without a team, it's hard to achieve anything. Okay, now, as Ken mentioned, our next thing is going to be sponsors. Helping new clubs thrive. The agenda for this sponsoring is going to be sponsor duties, requirements, club types, and charter process. And I must mention very quickly, I noticed there's been some chats, but neither Ken or I have had time to follow it because the person that was going to help us out on that, she had a last minute family emergency that she had to attend. So anybody that's got anything in the chat, we will only see it at the end, but make sure if you want a copy of this recording that you get your email in the chat, because all emails in the chat, we will send a copy of the recording. So as I was saying, it sponsors duties, requirements, the club types, and also the charter party process.
So obviously another cycle. I think we all go through cycles regardless of Toastmasters or anything else. You have what's essentially you begin, you pitch, negotiate your contract, concept, produce, whatever that happens to be. But really what you're looking for here is you're going through and understanding how you're going to proceed with sponsoring a club. And I think this is actually not a bad diagram to explain that. You're actually going through and you're understanding what type of sponsorship you're going to put in place to move forward with the club. You have an idea for a club. What kind of club are you going to put together? Is it going to be a corporate club? Is it going to be a book club? I know of some Toastmasters clubs that they talk about books and they talk to Toastmasters. I've also in the past, and others on the call can share stories about very specialized Toastmasters clubs that have existed for decades. Teachers, lawyers, judges, what have you. It's very interesting in that way. So you can basically look at the cycle and understand that as you go through and put your sponsorship in place, that you're going to actually go through the steps of moving forward to have the club be put in place, following the Toastmasters guidelines to do that.
Now, the sponsor's role. The sponsor is there to provide clear direction, provided needed resources, remove obstacles for your team, act as a project champion or a cheerleader, link the project to the organizational strategies, ensure project oversight. Now, the sponsor's profile is to lead and motivate, sees and communicates the big picture. There's always a big picture in everything that you do. It's easy to see the little picture, but the big picture has all those little details that are very important. A passion and commitment to success, willing to do whatever is needed to help this club, holds self and others accountable. And accountability and passion are very important in my mind. A high level of organizational awareness, as we all know. It's either plan or plan to fail. That's simple. Respected and trusted. In order for a club to take and accept you as a sponsor, mentor, or coach, you have to have their trust. And it means listening more than speaking quite often.
So reinforcing what Margaret has said here in terms of the relationships and the type of roles that we would play as Toastmasters, be it as a mentor, be it as a coach or a sponsor. I think every one of those different roles has a level of responsibility, but also guidance. And as you've alluded, and we will continue to stress this, Margaret and I have talked about this before, is that establishing a level of trust and guidance, but also being clear and very aware of where a coach, what a coach is going to do, what a mentor is going to do, and what a sponsor is going to do. And Margaret, I think you did a great job explaining that in the previous slide. So as you see here, a sponsor is a senior person, advocates for next promotion, encourage you to take the risks. So they act as a true leader and take some accountability. Sponsor mentor, again, a mentor relationship is more about getting advice. A coach is advising, but working with you. Mentor is someone you reach out to ask questions. We all have mentoring relationships in our lives, be it personal or professional. Here at Toastmasters, I think it's very critical. A lot of clubs assign a mentor as soon as someone comes into their club as a new member. I think when you're looking at a new club, you're looking at a sponsorship and also / mentorship, which is really, really important because people are looking to you for guidance. You're making introductions, you're working within the network of Toastmasters. And I think it's really important that we all understand that. In some ways, we could play all three at the same time, but it's really critical that we all recognize that as Toastmasters, that that's something that we do right now as we're sitting here this evening making this presentation, is that we're helping, we're guiding, we're providing information. And I think that's the beauty of Toastmasters, is having those different types of relationships that are identified.
Thank you, Ken, for that, because it's very important that it's a team effort, as he alluded to in his conversation. Now, sponsors' duties. Do you like starting a club? Then volunteer to be a sponsor. You organize a new club. You set up the regular club meetings to start out with. Complete the paperwork and plan the charter celebration. The CGD will submit your sponsors if you give them to her, and it has to be submitted not later than 60 days after the charter date. Having the charter officer sign and return to get credit from World Headquarters is the final step to us getting sponsor credit.
Different types of clubs. I think we've chatted briefly about that already, but there are different types of clubs. As you see here, community clubs or company clubs. I think that's how it really comes down. A lot of company clubs are established for a variety of professional and personal reasons, primarily professional, interpersonal skills, and the ability to communicate. Community clubs, as we've kind of alluded as well, you've got a variety of different clubs for people's definitely special interests, whatever they might happen to be it sport club teams, be it books, what have you, whatever it is, there is that necessity or that desire to have that type of environment. You also have ESL Toastmasters clubs, but you also have clubs that are specific to I don't know. I'm sorry. I've been sick the last couple of days, and I'm really trying to concentrate tonight. So I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Margaret.
Ken, I'm just glad you were able to talk today because you weren't able to take and say words yesterday. So as Ken mentioned, there's many different clubs. In corporate clubs, our special person, Pat Johnson, can tell you everything that is possible on starting a corporate club, and we've included her presentation that she gave on November the 22nd on corporate clubs. And she is quite willing to talk to anybody on starting a corporate club, as some of you in this audience tonight are aware and have attended some of her meetings. There is advanced clubs, such as Edmonton Advanced Club or BLT in D42 Advanced Club. There's specialty clubs, and for examples of these would be Chrysalis Social Butterfly out of Edmonton, or Brain Injury and Stroke Club, the Club Bilingual de Edmonton is also a specialty club that we have available.
So this shows a bit of a timeline in terms of the effort and the timeline of where you're going to go when it comes to producing a club or putting a club in place. You have a club lead, you launch a meeting, you would actually look at the different types of interests that you would have, perhaps have a kickoff meeting to understand if there's enough people that have an interest. And as Margaret's alluded, and I think my brain's coming back here, whatever it happens to be that draws you to have that club creation, be it a specialty club, be it a corporate club, what have you. But there is a guidance and a timeline you would have. And obviously you're looking at the support angle as well. So you're looking at sponsorship, mentoring as well. We've talked briefly about that already in this presentation this evening, but I think this diagram does a great job of explaining the natural progression of how a club would come to be, right? You have an interest. So obviously you have a kickoff meeting and see if you can gather enough people to actually establish a club. And then that's not done in a vacuum. We all know how Toastmasters work. There's a tremendous amount of resources that are available on the Toastmasters website and as well within a district that can help you and guide you towards establishing a new club. And I'm sure there are a number of people on this call this evening that have done that in the past, but for the ones that haven't, these are the type of activities that are necessary to move forward to establish a club. So you've got your launching of a meeting to see if the interest is there. You have what's called the club charter. You submit the forms, and then you have a charter ceremony. Congratulations, you have a new club. But that doesn't mean you do it on your own. I mean, it's not a vacuum. You've got sponsorship, you have mentorship. People are assigned to assist with that. They're there to help you to understand this is how we as Toastmasters operate our clubs. These are the goals and objectives that we have. And then we have a mentoring ceremony as well. And I think that's really, really critical. I'm a big believer in mentoring. Mentoring is absolutely crucial for the Toastmasters organization and for Toastmasters clubs in general, especially for new members. And in this case, it's a new club. So that's a really, really good thing. A new club mentor approximately 6 months. I think it could stretch depending on the club itself. But that mentorship and that sponsorship are absolutely critical for the success of a new club.
Yes, Ken, very much so. It's, again, as we have been saying all evening, it's a team effort. And tonight, we do have some people in the audience that are in the process of starting a new club. There will be a demo meeting on January the 24th for one of the people in the club. There will be also a demo meeting. We have finished the informational meeting sometime in January or February for a club to start in Edmonton, a corporate club. And there is World Lights, who has applied for their charter license, and they have 11 members at present. So they just need a few more members to qualify. Now, the charter process. You select a temporary, or it can become a permanent executive for the club. You follow up on the notices to make sure that everybody can take and attend your announcement for this charter party that's going to be happening because you have this club that has officially chartered. You collect, of course, the $125 US to pay for your charter fee to Toastmasters International. All those regulations, they're just a requirement of TI. They have to be followed. You can't forget them. You can't put them aside. So get them done, because that's one of the first things that you have to do. Make sure all the forms are processed and get them in. Then it's time to celebrate and enjoy the past process that you've gone through. You've gone through meeting the people that want to start the club. You've gone through your informational meeting. You've gone through a demo meeting. You've met and you've picked a group of people for the executive, which can, like I said earlier, can either stay that way, or when you get your final, all your club together, you can maybe change it if you prefer to do that. Then you have the right to celebrate. And that's the whole process of going from starting a club to getting it chartered. Now, our next thing, as Ken has mentioned many times, he is very much in favor of mentoring and is a great mentor in his own club. A mentor is someone who allows you to see hope inside of yourself. And we all need to see that hope inside of ourselves. We all need that little extra. Way to go.
So, mentoring. We're going to talk about what is a mentor, the credit process for mentorship, involvement of a mentor. So, and we'll also wrap up the presentation from this evening. So we much appreciate everybody coming up this evening. The biggest thing I think when it comes to mentoring is we all have mentors professionally, personally. It's just an ongoing thing. And we should all have a mentor in some way, shape, or form, because we all need a little bit of advice sometimes. And that is a big thing within our club, and I share with a lot of the other clubs we have here that are represented this evening.
The mentor life cycle. To become a mentor, a member must be in good standing for at least 6 months. Complete the entire path. Mentorship training has to be completed also. And have a positive evaluation from their protege. Each mentorship committee lasts for a period of 6 months and may be extended if both the protege and the mentor agree upon it. And as you can see, the life cycle there, and each and every one of you, I'm sure, have read this.
So when it comes to mentoring, you obviously have two different angles here. You've got your new members and you have existing members. A new member is looking for advice and guidance around, where do I get my information? How do I participate in the meetings? How do I do pathways? How do I log in? Just the very simple things. Also, learning club culture. I've never done Sergeant at Arms before. I don't know if I can ever do Toastmaster. I can never be Toastmaster. What is this table topics? It really is a question of supporting and guidance for a new member. For existing members, it's new challenges. And I think, as you can see from some of the folks on the phone, or sorry, in the presentation this evening, we've got a lot of people with a lot of experience that have been at this for a long, long time, enhancing your existing skills and the advantages of having a mentor, both at the beginning of your life cycle with Toastmasters and as you progress through the Toastmasters experience. And some folks here have been in the executive. So it really does indicate that a mentoring exercise and a mentoring life is an ongoing cycle. It is always there. You're always being mentored, be it a new member or be it a member who's been here for a long, long time.
A mentor. What would a mentor do? The sponsor, they pass the baton on once they are done as a sponsor for the mentor to take over and assist the club. A mentor is a person who shares their knowledge and experience with one or more people in the club. They may have a one-on-one mentoring, or it may be a mentor of the club. The benefits are they share their experience. And this is a two-way street again. I may know something, but Ken may know something different, and we can share it. It is always a two-way street. Translate value and strategies into being a productive action. Prove yourself as a valuable leader. Invest in the future of Toastmasters. Obtain fresh perspective. There is many ways, as they say, to skin a cat. So let's take and share those ideas. Excuse me. Apply leadership skills in new situations. Earn credit towards your DTM. These are just a few things that a mentor will benefit by. Because when you share communication, share your skills, there is always something to learn.
So there are three spokes of the program. You have the mentee themselves, either, as we've mentioned in the previous slide, a new Toastmaster member or an experienced Toastmaster member. And then you have your mentor, and then you have your club. I think it's really critical for this group to understand, and again, I will stress that we have some experienced Toastmasters on the call this evening, is that we have and continue to have that mentorship relationship either with the new members or with experienced Toastmaster members that are looking for some guidance. We have the ability to pick up the phone and ask a question and say, I'm wondering about this particular situation I'm dealing with. What do you suggest I do? I think it's really, really important that that is recognized and that there are the three spokes of the program. And then we continue to focus on the ability to continue to mentor our people, be it new or experienced Toastmasters.
Yes, Ken, I agree with you. Mentoring does not stop at any age. It's like Toastmasters. Toastmasters is at any age. Qualifications of a mentor. Mentors are involved in many parts of the club. And to mention a few, member retention is important to longevity and performance. Provide continuity. Assure a strong leadership base. Everyone is responsible. No one takes on it by themselves. Benefits of building a membership, strong leadership base, original personal and ideas are always involved. Everybody has a different personality. And we all have to learn and be able to deal with different personalities. For example, Ken may think that skinning a cat is done from the head down. Margaret, on the other hand, thinks that skinning a cat should never exist. We have to find a way to deal with skinning that cat. By building membership, this attracts new members. Club operates more efficiently. Current members are informed and interested. Mentors also need to use the Distinguished Club Program and Club Success Plan because Every club is unique and every club has just a little bit of difference. And that's the magic of Toastmasters.
There'll be no skinning of cats, Margaret, please. Let's quit using that term. I much appreciate that. Um, what would a mentor do? There are a number of things a mentor does here, and I love this diagram as well. It's just that all of this comes together. And as you've mentioned in the previous conversation, is everyone has a mentor. We do need that guidance. We all have information that we should share. And it's something that I think is one of the benefits of establishing that trust within Toastmasters. And one of the things that we do right off the bat with new members and with new clubs is to have them understand that we're all here to self-help. We're all here to help guide each other and improve on our communication skills and our listening skills, as well as our leadership skills. And I think that's one thing that's very indicative of even this presentation this evening, is to have that with this group.
Benefits of a new mentor. Tell me and I'll forget. Show me and I may remember, but involve me and I will understand. Learn the program. When you start something new, there's always a learning curve, and everybody has to learn at their own way, the learning curve. Learn the club standards and customs. Develop confidence. Be a big brother or big sister. Participate more. Be the cheerleader. Be the one that, sure, I'll help with it. Or, hey, I'll take on that role. Quickly learn communication skills. Develop the icebreaker. Every pathway starts with an icebreaker. So it's a beginning for everybody. And it gives you that little bit of knowledge in the icebreaker that we all can share. Grow your network. Take and use the skills of other people. Refer to other people. Ask questions. And speak when asked to. Involve all. Agree on the SMART objectives. Make sure your SMART goals are achievable and measurable.
So Margaret, would you like to go to this one, please?
Oh, okay, I shall. Novice members to seasoned members. This represents the Toastmasters life cycle. It uses concentric circles, clear labels, and icons for better readability while retaining a great design. To be exact, I'll tell you how I got this. I decided I wanted to see what AI could give. So I put in that I needed this life cycle. And this is what TI AI came up with. Each color in the Toastmasters life cycle diagram represents a stage of growth and development, linking the steps of the journey within their purpose. By combining these colors, the diagram visually reflects a progression from personal growth to leadership, contributing to your mission of your club. Now, Ken, you probably all want me to take on the next one also. The blue in the center represents the foundation of the global community of Toastmasters, where all members begin their journey. We all have to start our journey somewhere. Active members symbolize communication and leadership in progress. Blue conveys trust, dependability, and continuous learning as members refine their skills. Green is mentorship. Mentor style green is associated with growth, guidance, and nurturing. It highlights the stages where experienced members help others flourish big in sharing their experience. Now, the yellow is the novice member. Novice member stage yellow signifies the initial spark, energy, and optimism of starting a new Toastmasters journey. It encourages new members to explore opportunities. The orange is the club sponsor and leadership. Club sponsor stage, orange stands for enthusiasm, creativity, and community building. Sponsors help launch new clubs and foster connections. Club coach, revitalization. Orange also represents motivation and transformation as coach helps struggling clubs regain their strength. So this is how AI can assist you if you're interested.
I like this quote from Ralph Smedley, and we can all read, "The only organization I know of dedicated to the individual. We work together to bring out the best in each of us, and then we apply these skills to help others. We learn best in the moments of enjoyment." And that is one of the things that brings people back to Toastmasters. The tools and techniques are wonderful, but it's the trust, it's the ability to have mentorship, it's the ability to have people listen to you, it's the ability to be practicing in a safe space. And that's what brings me back to Toastmasters for 30 years.
Why do we need to promote Toastmasters Club? Why can't we just not say nothing about Toastmasters? Because isn't Toastmasters the best kept secret in the world? It seems to be in several areas when you mention Toastmasters, or it's that famous thing on your cupboard that makes your morning toast. Well, Toastmasters, I believe, and I know Ken also believes with me, and I believe several of the other ones tonight, believe that we should spread the word. Toastmasters is out there for everybody. Toastmasters has a magic. So join the Toastmasters Club whenever you can, wherever you can. Now, this comes to the end of our presentation, and I will just go pass through the next several pages. So you see, we will have shortly a question and answer period, and I hope that some of the Toastmasters that have been involved in it will answer some of the questions, because Ken and I are just about talked out. Now, we have several pages of, as you see, different references, different forms that have been in Toastmasters, what is in Toastmasters for you, the Toastmaster Promise, your charter membership form, and we would like to take, and Ken and I both say thank you for attending this, and we hope that each and every one of you got something out of this evening. Now I will stop sharing. If I can. Will it not let me stop sharing?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Good. Super. Okay, now we will have some questions and answer sessions, and I see Jamai, is that how it's said, has his hand up.
Yes, I do have a question. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the presentation. Could you please elaborate the club mentoring? Did you mean club mentoring or member mentoring? It wasn't so clear because it looked like, could you kindly just elaborate on that?
Ken, did you want to take this? Because you can do both. You can do individual mentoring or you can do club.
That's correct. You can do both. You can either, the biggest thing about mentoring is that for most clubs, when a new member joins, they are assigned a mentor. Depending on the size of the club, and the nature of how that club is actually acting, they will assign a dedicated mentor to that person for a period of time. And then it's a bi-directional thing, if it's a good fit or not. And I've seen that situation where someone goes, I'd prefer another mentor or another mentee, and it just works. And it's really, really helpful. And then a club mentor, and Margaret, you could probably allude to that a bit more as a club growth director, but yeah, that also can happen. And I think others on the call might be able to clarify if that's still correct. I've been more focused on the club or the member mentoring for new members in the club. So that's where my mind comes from.
Yes, you can
And-
do, there can be both. I have mentored individuals, and I know there is several people in this today that have mentored. For example, Linda Homovic, she has mentored clubs and she has mentored individuals. Linda, would you like to add a little bit to that?
Well, yes, mentoring is a good product that we need to do within all our clubs, because that helps all of our new members to get right on pace and get going. And like you explained during the process here this evening, that you're not out there to tell them exactly what to do. You're there to guide them, to help them, to assist them in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, and you were one of mine. I mentored you right at the beginning, at the very, very start.
Yep.
And yeah, and I've mentored a few members within our club, etc. Thank you.
Any?
I think Marge mentioned something in the chat window. When you mentor a new club for a minimum of 6 months, you mentor the club. Absolutely agree with that. Not
Yeah.
the member. Exactly. So two distinct mentoring opportunities. I guess the question I would have for some of the other senior Toastmasters is, has a club reached out and asked for a club membership after the club has been established? Has that occurred?
Well, Ken, I think most of the people that step forward, I mean, there is a few that step forward and mentor an individual. And for that, they don't get credit. They just get the experience and the fact of helping someone else.
That's
The only
correct.
way you get credit is to mentor a club. And Marg, you probably can give a little more information, or Dawn, on that. Dawn, would you like to give a little more information on that?
No. Well, you're opening up a very large discussion when you bring that forward. It's not a simple one to answer. There never is an end to mentoring if there's a need for it, and there's somebody that's going to take on that role. It never ends, and it should not end. The mentorship is established for a new club. That's one thing. If it's for a member, that's another thing. But it doesn't have to end. That doesn't say, well, I'm going to do it for a month or not. But that's a big conversation we get into. And I think there's a lot more here than mentoring. I thought we're, more of the coaching part. If you look at coaching a club and talking about mentoring a club, that's two different things as well. You need to be very clear about what you're doing and what the need is. It's not that simple just to say, well, I can coach. What happens in the past, I think, is we have misinformation, if you want to call it, lack of information, understanding what those roles are. So people take on roles because it sounds like there's a session probably I can run and do, but I don't understand the role itself and how actually impactful that role can be, and the influence you can have on people that you're involved with, and the job you can do if you do it properly and do it with a passion and have objectives on anything that you do. And I think that's one of the things we're really missing out here, is what is our real objectives and what do we really want to accomplish before we start something out? And is everybody on board with those, so we can have a destination, but a path how to get there? And that's where the mentoring can help get us to that point. Coaching can help us to get to that point. There's two different paths, there are two different things happening.
Mhm.
So it's
Yep.
it should never end. It shouldn't end, but it's this there's a whole session about either one of those that can be, we can spend a couple hours on to be able to understand the mythology behind it and how we do it and the professional way to do it. It's not as simple as, well, you can be a mentor or you can be a coach. We are a lot better than just those simple terms, Ian. There's a lot more to add to that. And I'm not going to get into it here right now because in the years that we've had this, coaching has been a big part of my life. But I'm just going to leave it at that, I think, and perhaps some other people can chime in.
Thank you, Don. I agree with you. We could have a 2-hour session on each of all three of these. Now, Marg, I see you turned on your camera. Did you want to add something?
Well, I can speak a little bit more specifically about a new club mentor, which is what I think we should be calling this role. There's a role, new club mentor, that's a 6-month role. And then there is a member mentor, which comes under pathways. So it's important to differentiate between those two. And we can't really put them all into the same salad, so to speak. However, I will speak to the new club mentor, mainly because I'm looking for someone to do that role. I'm working on a club that's going to be underway probably in January, February. As soon as we get all the paperwork done, or even before, we need to have someone who's going to mentor that club, stay with them for the next 6 months. And some of the activities that you would be doing is helping their executive get trained, train them in the areas that they need training, because they will have missed out on first round and maybe even some of the second round. So as a mentor, that would be your responsibility. Another one would be if they get chartered on time, to help them understand the ups and downs and how ins and outs of holding a club contest, because they would be eligible to do that. Beyond that, then as you go through rest of the year, you're going to show them how to work Basecamp, how to submit educations, how to work a schedule for programs. So as you can see, it's all about clubs. Come in the end of May, you'll be guiding them through club elections. So you don't sit down with a specific member as a new club mentor. You work with mainly the club executive, but also the club in itself. Putting together their programs, making sure that they don't default to a weak program. In other words, set a high standard for what the club quality is going to be, and ensure that they have the knowledge to continue to be able to fulfill that club standard and not fall off the rails in a very short period of time. That's just not fair to the club. It's not fair to the members who joined that club. So the role is quite different than a new club mentor. If anyone is interested in doing that, it'll have to be, I believe, at noon hour. That time might change. That is in person in Edmonton. So there you have it. I'd be happy to help you learn the ropes if you've not been a new club mentor before. It is one of the requirements for getting your DTM, or it will fulfill one of the requirements for getting a DTM. Any questions, just let me know.
Thank you, Marg. That club is the one I mentioned that'll be having its demo on January the 24th.
Maybe not, because I don't know exactly what date they're going to have their demo. This is
Oh,
maybe
okay.
a different lead.
Okay.
But that does bring me to a different question, Margaret, is how do we, if anyone here is interested in getting, working to get a new club started, in other words, interested in taking on the role of being a sponsor, how do potential sponsors get new club leads? Is that something they would get from yourself?
Yes, they can definitely contact me. I have not had anybody mention that they want a sponsor yet, because the clubs that have contacted me that they're starting, they have already picked their own sponsors. And most of them that started the club want to be sponsors themselves. And I have 2 clubs that are starting that already have picked their own sponsors and their own mentors. So, but yes, definitely, we will be needing some new mentors and sponsors possibly, because we have 2 other clubs. We have approximately 4 that should be starting this year. So we could have some more need for some more.
Can I chime in here, Margaret, please?
Yep.
Just, okay, so here we go. You've got, this club is chartering and they're seem to be doing their own thing with their sponsorship or mentor. So how is the training to make sure that it's done right? Well, how does that fit in now? Where does that application come in and go to be able to make sure that this person has the skills necessary to do what they're supposed to do?
Well, as you see, we have offered coach training. We offered it in person at the TLM, or TLI, I should say, that John and Eileen provided in PA. And we've also offered it online now. On January the 16th at 7 o'clock, we are going to be offering training on how to fill out the forms for the coaches. And we are looking into having that monthly, so January, February, March, and April. But we may be running into a problem with April because of the contest. We can only have so many things, eh? And we were going to do a coaches training with G42, but they decided that they would do it on their own because they didn't have much interest in their own area. So we went off on our own. But Dawn, if you would like to take an offer to do some training, we're open to that.
Well, I'm sure you would be, but I think we need to, I think there's a lot more to it than that. And the thing is, here we are, Christmas is approaching, and we're going to study how to fill out forms in January. There's a little bit, something's out of sync here quite bad. And nobody's going to wait that long. The training for you talked about coaching, they still haven't answered the question about how the sponsors get trained and what their responsibilities are. However, that's where this whole, I guess, the objectives of the session that we've seen, the relevancy and the objectives when we attend these sessions, what are we going to get out of this so that we can move forward? And I have a question I just want to ask you because I'm trying to do a bit of stats here for me to see what's happening. You said how many clubs need coaches right now according to the chart as far as?
We have 57 right now that need coaches. We had over 60.
No, we have 57. Okay, out of those 57, how many have requested a coach?
We have the clubs that have requested a coach. We have 9 volunteers. Well, we had 10 volunteers. We have 9 volunteers, and the 9 clubs that have requested coaches have all got coaches so far.
So 9 clubs have asked and 9 clubs have coaches.
Yep.
Okay, and where did okay, I'm just wondering where the training was, because if we attend their sessions, okay, I'm just trying to find out how this whole thing is being put together here to understand it.
Yep. And we would have had more training. Like I said, we had planned training November and December, and then D42 decided November they couldn't do, so it got canceled. And then they let me know that, hey, we haven't got enough interested in it, so we won't be doing it together. So then we had to put our own together. We had thought we were going to start in November.
That's going to be it for me here. I think on this.
Good. Anybody else have anything? Von Eric, do you have something that you would like to add?
Well, actually, thanks, Margaret. It's all covered by Marge and Dawn. They shared something about what is club mentoring, and then I'm looking at here in the chat. I'm following up the chat, and there's someone saying here. Actually, my friend Cherry is mentioning about the difference between the mentoring a member and mentoring a club, and Marge mentioned that if you're a club mentor, you're actually mentoring the club and not just a member. So yeah, so as club mentoring, the only thing that I really wanted to share here, even in club coaching, while club mentoring and club coaching, we use it. We get a credit while if we are working on our DTM. This is not just checking the box. Once you get the credit as a club coach, club mentor, see to it that you still visit that club that you coach or you mentor. So in experience, I coach a club recently and they got the select distinguished last year, and until now I'm still attending their meeting and every Wednesday that the Power Speaker Club. And same true with the club that I mentored recently. I'm still attending their meeting every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. Not necessary every week you attend their meeting. Now, I'm referring to here, you already get the credit, you finish your role as a club mentor or club coach, but see to it that you still visit the club, even if your term as a club coach or club mentor is done. So that is one thing that I really wanted to emphasize here. It doesn't end as what Don actually, when I'm listening to him, doesn't end. It's not just about the credit, or it's just not starting the role and ending the role, but see to it that you visit the club. Margaret, over to
Yes.
you.
Yes, Von Eric, it is definitely, you have to be accountable. You have to have the time to spend with them. You have to want to take and work with that club. And then after, when you get credit, it's not just bye, gone. Take and keep in touch with that club. You maybe can't join every meeting, but do join a few meetings. There is also the good old phone. Pick up the phone and say hello. You know, find out if they wanted to continue on talking with something that they might need. So it is a continuous thing. And when you take a step forward, put your name forward, I believe you should already have checked out what is the requirements of that position. Why are you doing it? Why do you want to be a coach? Why do you want to be a sponsor? Why do you want to mentor? And what can you offer? And what will you grow? And how can they grow? Remember, it's together. When you put your name forward, it's more than just putting your name forward. And I think most of you can agree to that. More than just, hey, I'll do it. Check it out. Make sure you know what you're stepping up for. Be willing to be accountable for what you're stepping up for. And I think that's what Dawn and Marg and Linda and you, Von Eric, and Ken and I have tried to put forward. Make sure that you're willing to do what you're stepping forward. Check into it. You're putting your name forward. Know what you're stepping into. And if you need help, ask for some help. But we're not there to do it for you. You step forward, you're there to do it. Anybody else have anything else to? Because I see we have held up overtime already, and some of you might have some other things that you have to attend.
Are we supposed to be attending every meeting, every club meeting?
You take and discuss that, Jemai, with your club, and if at all possible, you attend as many club meetings as you can. It's not meant that you stop living and you attend because you must. You attend because you want to attend. And the more meetings you attend, the more you'll get out of it. Because if you don't attend the meetings, you're not going to get anything out of it, and the club's not going to take and get that trust that's needed for you to be their coach. You have to step forward, you together with the club. That's why I've emphasized you have to meet with the club and decide if you're a good fit. Why are you there? Why are you stepping forward? What has the club got that you can help with? How can the club grow with your assistance?
Just, I'm going to close off here, and I'm going to have to take off here. Margaret, if I can add, what we're dealing with here is a situation where the presentation tonight would give nobody the tools to go out and be a coach. What it does, it talks about procedure and what you should be doing, but the hands-on of actually doing it is a skill set. And no place here have we got training on that skill set. And this is what's missing. We'd have a lot more coaches if they had help on how to be a coach. What does that take? And that's a whole session which should be done in developing coaches. And I don't see that being done anyplace right now. All it is, we're talking about the coaching. We get into mentorship and we spread all over the place. We need to be focused on, because it is a very serious role that we can have an impact on people. And I'm not going to get into it. Don't start second guessing all the things I want to say here, because we're gonna get into it. We don't have all night. But what I'm saying is I'm saying that there is a skill set that needs to be developed. It's not being developed. It's not being addressed. And we're in the middle of the year, and we're going to do the same thing next year. And we're not going to get the people out because they do not know what they need to do, how they need to do it, because it's not addressed. And that's a whole nother topic. But let's leave it at that. And thank you for you and Ken. And Ken, I'm trying to get a hold of you. Absolutely, yeah. And we'll do something over Christmas.
I've got my voice back down. I haven't had my voice for 3 days. You could hear me struggle tonight, right?
Yeah.
I'm still brain addled. So yeah, I'll
And,
try to get hold of you tomorrow.
Good. And I want to wish everyone happy holidays, Merry Christmas for those of you who are celebrating the calendar. And if you're not, do what you've got to do. And remember, we got to believe in something. And maybe Toastmasters is a good replacement for everything else. But definitely there's lots can be done. But I don't believe that we have to draw some clear pictures, and we have to provide some clear education for those people who want to accomplish this. And we will have people coming forward. If we don't, people are not going to take that challenge at all. And I'm going to bid everyone a good night here. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Don, for attending. See you again. I'm sure we'll talk soon. So, and yeah, training.
Mark, I have a question when you have time.
Okay, training is a very important thing, and we need to have people that are willing to assist in training and step forward. And this year, as Bonnie can tell you, last year, we have had very few people that have stepped forward and said, yes, I will take the time to help. Marg, what would you like to?
Well, I put my question in the chat, but I just see nobody's able to read that. What my question is, about 2 months ago, or maybe a bit more, I completed that coach project in Pathways. And I was thinking that I would get someone would contact me to see if I would be their coach. So I'm just wondering how that information is shared amongst the clubs. Do potential coaches contact you? Do you have a list of people who've done that project in Basecamp? How is it managed in that sense? When clubs come and ask for a coach, where do you find the coach? So how do I fit in with this? And I'm thinking maybe there are others in the audience here who have the same question. Maybe they've completed the that project, but they're just waiting to say, well, okay, where's my assignment? Do I have to go out and find it?
I do not have a list of everybody that has completed the club coach, but I have advertised umpteen times in D99 fan page, on the D99 Facebook page, on my personal Facebook page, on my Toastmasters Vision Corner. I've also advertised on the Club Growth Facebook and on Region 3, asking for coaches, anybody interested in coaching, any clubs interested in coaching. And I've been doing that since I became Club Growth Director. And anybody that contacted me, I have got back to them. As you can see, there's a few people on here tonight that have got a hold of me. I even had some other members of clubs get a hold of me. That's how one of the members tonight became a coach, was one of his fellow members of his club contacted me and said, hey, I have somebody that might be interested. So I contacted them and said, how are you interested? Where are you interested? And that's where we went forward. But as far as a list of who takes the club coach modular, I don't have a list of that. TI doesn't share that kind of stuff.
could you just give us then, what are the steps to get this going? Briefly, what are the steps?
Contact me if you want to be a club coach, or if, as I said before, we have been advertising this for umpteen times, and I know that several of you have seen it. Then once you contact me, I put you on a list. If my camera would work more, I could put it around the room, but I know Ken and Linda and Dawn and them already know I have lists, and Von Eric, of people that want to be coaches. Then I contact them and say, this is the steps. I email them, as several of the coaches here tonight can tell you. I email them, say, this is all the information. Please make sure you read it so that you know, because we're all adults. We all can take and read. We should know what we're stepping up to before. Then one of the very first things that you have to do is you have to go into the pathways and complete the Club Coach modular. And it has to say complete. And several of you again tonight here already know that you've had to go in 2 or 3 times to complete that. But I do not get a list of who does complete that list from TI. And if you contact me, you've completed it, then I take and say, hey, this is the list of clubs I have, or do you have a club that you're interested in? Because some people have connections with clubs that they would like to coach. Then we take and you meet with that club, see if you're a good fit. And then we take and somebody on their executive has to complete that coach modular. Then the form is signed, the club coach agreement signed and sent to me. I sign it, I send it to TI, and then TI does the final approval. And that final approval has to be before December 30th. And TI does go on holidays. So it has to be an ASAP. And Marg, I know you already know those steps. And I hope everybody here tonight knows those steps. Nobody has requested those.
Well, I'm still not sure though, Margaret. Am I supposed to go out and find a club that wants me as the club coach? And then do I give them the paperwork that they fill out and send to you?
If you contact me and say, I want to be a coach, then I would put you on that list that, hey, Marg Farina wants to be a coach.
Okay.
And then I will take and talk with you and say, hey, Marg, I have club A, B, and C. Are you interested in them? Because some people say, I'm not interested in A.
Okay, so I'm saying put my name on that list.
Yeah. So you're interested in being coach? Because I know I have sent you an email saying, are you interested? I did send
Sorry,
you an
no, I
email
haven't
saying,
had that.
are you interested in being a mentor? Also, I
have not received that email, so sorry
Okay.
about that.
Okay. I will put you on that list, but it would have to be a very fast list, because if you finished it, but the club might not have finished the club coach modular, and like I said, December 30th. If you want to get credit by June, it has to be approved by then. Because we had last year 2 people that didn't get approved because it went in too late. And most people want to use it for credit. Anything else? If there is nothing else, then I will say thank you for coming. Ken, can you save the chat, please? Because it won't let me save it. Make sure you save it. Thank you. Thank you for coming, everyone. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at any time, and we can talk. My email is the number 4me@gmail.com. My phone number is 306-533-7019. I think 99% of everybody on this call already has all that stuff. Arlene, I'm not sure if you have it. Arlene, you have it? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you for coming.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Ken. Thank you, Margaret, for the presentation.
Thanks, Bon Eric, for
Yeah.
showing up.
Yeah, I'll attend next month.
Okay. Yeah, on the 17th.
Thank you. Awesome. Merry
Okay.
Christmas, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye. Thanks, Karen, for showing up. Thanks, Arlene. Thanks, Karen.